we have a chance to try to extend our season record to 12 games. And that's important for us, and that's the only thing that's really pretty much on my mind. And I think I speak for the masses when I say that. Defense is playing great. The special teams is getting great field position. The offense is winning. The point of attack. Find ways to win.
You can't get to there until you take care of what's next.
I want to be number one.
Do you think you are the best?
Right now, at the time in life and where I'm playing at, yes.
Oh, yes, the C3 podcast, folks. Tuesday night is 10 o'clock, and we're here to talk about some Carolina Panthers football from the fan perspective. Tonight's show is going to be a great one. Oh, no! Carolina is 12-0. Go, go, Godzilla! That's tonight's show, episode 14.45, I think, and I'm here with my homeboys. That's right, Joe Riolano, a.k.a. that freaking Puerto Rican. What is up?
Tony, it is so good to be on tonight. It is my favorite night of the week, Tuesday. We're here to talk about our undefeated Carolina Panthers. And let me ask you, Panther fans out there listening and watching, we want to hear from you. So please make sure you jump on Twitter and hit us up with hashtag C3. We want to hear from you, see how excited and amped you are about this 12-0 team, this team that seems to be a team of destiny, a team that is beginning to embrace the thought of winning it all. And that is something that we have a really good shot at.
Oh, Lord. All right. Well, let's turn the mic over to our boy Mel Mayock coming from the deserty. Or what do you call that? That climate? Would it be arid? The arid Arizona. Mel Mayock, glad to have you back, brother. Now the chords are complete.
We are back together, man. After a week off with pay, I rejoin you. We're gonna have a lot of fun, man. I tell you, every time I miss a week, I'm afraid maybe the Panthers are gonna lose, and I miss having all this fun talking about how undefeated we are. We are still undefeated. And officially, we three-peated. Did we not?
We have.
We officially three-peated. So if you're checking us out on YouTube, you see the hottest shirt on the web today. They're flying out the door like hotcakes at IHOP. Better get yours while you can.
That's right. You can go to CarolinaCatChronicles.com and you can get. And this is. Let's just go ahead and be honest, folks. This website, this podcast, whatever it is, we don't know yet what we are, but we know it means a lot to us, and we
have fun, man.
We put a lot into this in a different way, so it's not like begging for people to like it, but we put a lot into it, Joe, and I gotta say these little moments I hang on to, where I'm a little proud of. We printed these shirts in August.
Yes, you did.
Well, I remember we talked about it. We were like, should we really be that ballsy? We were like, man, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, it was because we have faith in the team.
We did.
And we've been studying this team now for, how long, in depth, and we really had full confidence that we were going to be able to win this division. Now, not a single person, not a single one of us thought 12-0 would be the case.
Oh, gosh. No, God, Godzilla.
No, but we knew the division was ours. So we said, let's do it. We know we're going to win it. Let's go ahead and get them printed now. And we were the ones rocking them before anybody even thought that the division could be ours.
It's hip, and so you can get yours at CarolinaCatChronicles.com. They're only $17 plus shipping, which isn't anything, and to let you guys know just about the success of that, or I think is cool, is our second print. I put in the second order today.
Nice.
Yeah, they are moving, people.
It's historic for everybody. It's historic for the NFC South. It's historic
what's cool
for the Panthers.
I love seeing the pictures popping up on Facebook and on Twitter. I mean, you got Just Joan, you got Legacy Lines, you got Abby coming off the dime finally. Abby, we appreciate your order there. You got Reggie out there on Facebook representing. You know,
Guys, Reggie's hooked it up. I want to give a shout out to Reggie Crum, and you can follow his Facebook group, Panthers for Life.
Really is the best one out there.
I ain't ever met. There's a couple of people you meet that are strange fans, and I don't mean him strange as weird. Is that it's so strange that you can. He's so genuine, man.
He is.
It is a genuine fan thing. It's really cool.
Just a cool dude.
So check out Reggie Crum, Panthers for Life. All right, let's jump into this week. Like Joey said, you can tweet the show using the hashtag C3. Follow us on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. Go ahead and sub up on YouTube. Whatever you do, you listen on the podcast later. Give us a like. Guys, the Panthers, 12-0. It's really weird, Joe, to say 12-0. I was thinking about it. I've said it a couple of times. I've tried to pause and think about what that means. But we've only been doing the podcast for two years and some change. And this is a lot of times of being happy consecutively on Tuesday nights.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? I think we're up to 15 straight.
16.
16.
We broke the record, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With regular, it's hard to say. Consecutive regular season wins.
It's amazing.
Right.
16 in a row. We haven't lost, guys, since in the regular season since last season. What, in week 14, 13?
Yep. It was against Minnesota, and I'm still pissed off about that loss. We came out looking flat.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, two block punts or whatever.
Yeah,
so the Panthers extend their win streak to 12 straight this season. It's historic. It's crazy. It's wild. 41-38, Joey. Panthers beat the Saints in their house. It did not start well for the Panthers. Tell me, when you look back at that, what are your thoughts on it?
I think it was something we really needed. I think it was a wake-up call, you know. I think we were, you know, it's tough. It's tough when you get to win and win and win and win and win, and you know you're going up against a team of inferior talent. And I'm not saying we're so great. I'm just saying we all know the Saints
They're
are
not that good.
They're not having right. They're having a down year, so it's hard to get up for a game like that. And that's
especially after you hear just before the game, the Falcons lost to Tampa, the division is clinched. That was another add-on to taking the game a little easy psychologically.
Right. Exactly. I think the fact that they punched us in the mouth in the first quarter. You know, they came out and they got 2 scores, and
give them credit.
Like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know, like, whoa, what's going on here? And it got, I think, our competitive juices flowing. And then Cam, I loved it when he pulled that fake run. Well, he faked the handoff and then rolled out and ran for like 30 yards. I think that I've always said, Cam, you run him early, get him running the ball, and that gets his motor going. And then
Yeah. You're spot on there. You said that right at the beginning of this game when we were faltering. You were like, run him early. And as soon as they ran him, he got the jitterbugs out. He looked like a different QB.
Right. He gets comfortable, and then he can really hit his targets. He doesn't tend to throw the ball high. You know, he's still going to have those passes where sometimes you wonder, like, man, if he could have just... But
I start the petition tonight, freaking Puerto Rican for the next offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers.
Well, no. Let's not give him too much credit here because, Joey, when we watched that play happen, did we not, and I know, and I wasn't with you, but we all said this, is why would you not run that play every time? That is the play you run every time when you're down at the goal line. When he basically ran that and he got the concussion, right, or whatever it is, he runs down it. Same type of play is anytime you need big yards and they're stacking the box. That's what you do.
It's true.
Right. Well,
it's amazing. It's amazing. They were putting all these dudes in the box. That's what they did for the whole game. Yeah. They just crowded it up and they were like, throw it. And then we tried to throw it for a second and then we didn't. And then we did throw it. But when they put that box up there, they ran that play and Cam could just eat that alive all day long. It is so fantastic. And I don't know why you wouldn't. Every time it's 3rd and 1 or whatever, when it's a clear running down and everybody knows it's happening, they know it's happening, we know it's happening, then just roll Cam out and just match him up one-on-one and let him beat dudes all day long.
And watch those defensive backs make business decisions and not hit.
That's right. I see we have our very first guest just joining us. It is Jonathan Ketchum. Jonathan is new to this sort of blog forum, fan interactive sort of a role. He's trying to get his idea running. He wants to get all sorts of Panther fans involved in discussions and I guess taking polls and just get us all chatting amongst ourselves with a Panthers fan forum. Jonathan, are you there?
Yeah. How you guys doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing
great.
well.
We're doing awesome. We're 12-0 as Panther fans, and we were just kind of touching on this past Sunday's game. Why don't you let people know where they can find you on Twitter?
All right, yeah, you got it exactly right, Joey. I'm on Twitter. Basically, right now, it's just kind of a discussion page where fans can come and talk. It's at Panther Forum, and I don't know if it actually matters on Twitter, but the Panther and the P in the Panther and the F in the Forum are both capitalized. So you can go follow me there for some Panther discussion between fans.
And that's what we're all about. We're all about the fan perspective, fans getting involved with each other, fans getting involved in our show, and that's kind of why we wanted to give you a chance to get on the show and get yourself out there, John. We we support anything related to the Panthers and anything that involves Panther fans getting together. We were just talking about the Saints and how they sort of came out and punched us in the mouth, so to speak.
Right.
Up 14, and really we hadn't looked very good. But then it was a 4th down. I think it was the second quarter, and short. Cam fakes the handoff to Jonathan Stewart and runs around the end for a 30-yard gain. And it seemed things started trending upward after that. What were your thoughts after that play, John?
Yeah, after that play, first of all, I don't know if you guys remember at the end of that play, they said that was Cam's longest run of the year, which I was personally pretty surprised here. But, I think that's just, I've reiterated this on my page a couple times. I think that is part of what makes Cam so valuable is in those short yardage and 3rd or 4th down situations. And it's so hard to quantify those things. But, just once again, he's proven his worth with his legs in those situations.
Joey, Cam Newton went 28 for 41, 331 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Slow start when it came to the entire team. But he seemed to be really – one thing I think is, standing out about his game and the Carolina Panthers game that was lacking last year was the big plays. The big plays are there this year where we throw downfield, we move the ball in chunks.
If our guys can catch it.
That's right. And so here's the thing. Joey, Cam Newton, 5 touchdowns, all of those numbers, and Ted Ginn Jr., again, drops. He dropped 120 yards worth of passes in that game, I feel like.
And 2 touchdowns.
What is going on with this Panthers offense. It seems special in some ways, Joey, and with all these mistakes, fumbles, all of this. How did they do this?
It really, if you think about it, it is incredible that they're able to miss those kind of plays and yet still
Score
win
41 points.
Score 41 points. It really is. It's a testament, I think, to the completeness of the team when we're not so reliant or dependent on just one particular aspect of our offense. Yes, we can throw a 60-yard bomb. We saw Cam do it. Flat-footed, falling backward. He dropped a 55-yard pass on a dime.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yes, that's amazing.
I'm telling you, we are all just stuck in Cam Newton's NFL Madden video game.
Yeah. Jonathan, can you tell me, what do you think about Ted Ginn Jr.? Because I don't know if you listen, how long you've listened to our show, but I'm the most opinionated person on this show in a bad way. And a lot of those opinions go towards Ted Ginn, and you can go back and check the tape. They're consistent. What do you think about Ted Ginn Jr.? Wide the hell open, missing these big passes?
Yeah, I mean, guys, it's frustrating. Like, I don't know if you remember that play Monday night against the Colts. I had that same feeling when he was dropping passes on Sunday. Like, your heart just kind of drops, and you get frustrated. That second drop he had was kind of can be forgiven a little bit because there was that pass interference. But yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. But the thing about Ginn that I don't want to say forgives it because it's still so frustrating, those drops, but you can almost forgive it because he's just got that speed that can blow the cover off the secondary. And him coming back to Carolina, I think I saw we're something like 15th now in the league in passing big plays. So I mean, I'm sure that's an improvement from last year, and obviously, he adds an asset that we were missing last year. So, they're frustrating, but we also get his speed, so you got to love that.
There is mixed emotions on Twitter right now. A lot of conversation about Ted Ginn. Mel Mayock, you know that I hate some Ted Ginn Jr. and when I say hate him, here's the thing, is because everybody's going to say, like Jonathan said, he stretches the field and all of this. He's fat. He's a 50-50 guy.
Right.
I mean, he's a coin flip. He really is roulette. It's actually Ted Ginn Jr. is roulette of the deep ball. You can bet red, you can bet black, and every now and then it lands on zero.
It reminds me of watching Burson return punts last year.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. But Burson just sucks, dude. He just sucks.
That's true. But you know what the best play Ginn ever did for the Carolina Panthers?
What, Monday night? Everybody's going to say Monday night, New England.
No, I'm going to say in the playoffs last year when he was with Arizona, dropping the punt on the 5-yard line, giving us the ball. So if we play the Cardinals again this year and he's returning punts, he best not return that favor.
Everybody is saying on Twitter, love a legacy. Lynn is saying, I have a love-hate relationship with Ted Ginn. And yes, he has a love-hate relationship with football and catching it. I mean,
maybe we should just change his name to Jen because it's a love-hate relationship just like we have with Jen. Ginn.
Yes, Ted Ginn. he is a gin and tonic. Here's the thing. Is that I have my boss, like a high up in where I work at, sent me a text message on Sunday and said, You mean
C3 is not your only job?
That's right. Yeah. She sent me a text message that said, y'all need to cut Ginn. Straight up. I mean, that's what she said. An outsider looking at it, and I've just been saying, all right. So on top of that, in this game, Panthers started slow, came on strong at the end. Turns out the Saints' secondary is terrible, and Cam Newton threw on them all day long. Olsen had 129 yards in this game, but one of the things is that we talked about Cam Newton getting it going and running, folks. There is some controversy right now in Panther Nation is that Cam Newton when he skated and almost made it into the end zone, he got hit. Helmet to helmet.
You're going to open Pandora's box. I feel it.
Yes. helmet-to-helmet contact. There should have been a penalty, what I thought, in that there.
Definitely.
You can get on Cam Newton for slacking a little bit, but Cam Newton goes off to the sidelines. He shakes his head a couple of times. He goes into the locker room. Then he comes back out. Somebody said he had to take a poop break on Twitter. I thought that was a good one. But anyway, later in the week, or 1 day later, yesterday, Joe Person.
Tony, does that mean somebody knocked the crap out of him?
Yes, got his bell rung.
Literally.
Oh, now it took a moment for it to set in. Yes, exactly. Not the crap out of him. Joe Person confronted Ron Rivera. Not confront. Well, yeah, he asked Ron. He asked Ron Rivera about this moment and if they handled it properly with the league. At least that was what he's implying. Ron Rivera then goes into kind of like the Hulk, like Bruce Banner to the Hulk.
He was pissed.
I've never seen him like this, ever. And all the Greg Hardy, all the...
Now, wait just a minute. Did you see him on the sideline when he was pissed about that 12-man being in the huddle? And
yes.
He was yelling into the speaker.
But it wasn't for the press.
But did you see Cam Newton come over, and Cam thought he was yelling at him? And the coach said, no, big fella, I'm not yelling at you.
It's not you.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
All right, well, here's where this story gets crazy, guys. I, before the show, was listening to all the press conferences, like, over again. And you can go listen to them on Panthers.com. And I listened to the entire Rivera press conference 4 times to make sure I didn't miss this. But the whole confrontation between Ron Rivera and Joe Person is not there.
Boom, gone.
No way.
It's
I
missing.
noticed that. I was trying to find the context of what was going on there, and yesterday I watched the entire video. I was like wondering if I had found it, or it's interesting.
Okay, so you saw that too, Jonathan. I've got a second verification on this.
I mean, we could be missing it. I'm not
no,
sure if
we're
that's
not
only...
missing it. No, we're
Is
not.
that the entire press conference?
That was the entire press conference. I listen to it pretty much every week. I watch it usually if I'm at work and I'm working on something. I'm at my desk. I can watch it live. And this week I got to watch it live. The whole thing blew up. Here, look, I've got tweets where I said, "Here, my tweet is this," and I think I've got it up. I can put it up. Joe Person confronted Ron Rivera about Cam and his concussion, and Ron freaks out. Tweeted something to that effect. At one point I said Ron Rivera. I tweeted Ron Rivera is so angry he made Joe Person's mohawk lay down. and it's gone. It's gone. So, Joey, should we have not talked about this tonight? What do you think about this? It's missing. It is snipped. I've listened. I watched. It's snipped. It's gone.
I think it's probably just because they don't want to make it out any more than what it is. Ron was pissed for one because he asked him about it again when he had already addressed it, and I think what made him even more angry was the fact that Joe went to the league concerning the matter and went and sort of followed up to make sure that Ron did do the right thing. And it made Ron mad because basically he's saying, Ron, I don't believe you. I think you put Cam's health in jeopardy. And Ron is saying, look, I love these guys. These guys are like my children. I'm never going to do anything to put them in harm's way. And I think, that there was a bit of, I don't want to say, it got uncomfortable there. I can imagine for the people in the room.
Yeah, it did.
It was extremely uncomfortable.
It got tense. Let me jump in for just a second. Now, I love Riverboat Ron, and my natural instinct was to go, yeah, Ron, Joe, you suck, because it's easy to do that. But you got to see what movie's coming out December 25th.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, how can we
concussion.
not? How can we not? It's all over.
And you know what? This type of access by the press and their role that they play in keeping coaches honest and making sure that they aren't telling doctors to just get their players back on the field and just suck it up and have lifelong effects. Hey,
right.
kudos to Joe.
Wow.
Honestly,
Different
he was an ice
opinions.
up. He was an ice up sun candidate, and I can argue that as well. But in the macro view,
Ron Rivera already iced him up.
Yeah, he did. He iced him up.
I felt like this. I was sitting there at my desk like I felt like I was getting
But
talked to by my
I'm giving him
dad.
kudos. Yeah, I'm giving him kudos.
I thought I was Joey. I thought Vern was talking to me. And I thought I was like 17. Like Joe Person was like, sorry, man. I didn't mean to ask all that.
My bad,
bro.
I do have a problem with that. I think Joe Person should trust Ron Rivera.
But you know what? Should the press trust a coach to do the right thing by a player when it comes
Or
to
are they just trying to get clicks, though?
This isn't 1980. This isn't 1980 football anymore. Now the doctors are the ones that have to clear. The coach can't do anything. It's got to be from the doctor. Yes, the coach can say, "Hey, we really need him in the game. He's vital to our success." Mm-hmm. But if the doctor has any suspicion whatsoever that he could be harmed,
I like the checks and balances of it. I mean, look at the poor dude from St. Louis, the guy that could barely get up off the field.
Yeah.
And he got no help.
T-Money thinks it was David Newton. Let me ask you this, and this is off the subject a little bit, but Mel brought it up. Are any of you, Jonathan, since you are the guest, I'll ask you first. Is it surprising that the NFL is okay with them showing the advertisement for the concussion movie on Sunday?
It's weird, isn't it?
Does that strike you as odd that the machine that is the NFL lets them do that?
Yeah, I mean that's a great point, but I think it's good that they're kind of letting the public know that they're worried about the issue and that they're willing to discuss possible solutions to the problem. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see over the next, who knows, couple of years, maybe it's 5 to 10 years, just how much this issue kind of hurts the brand of football or how well the NFL is going to be able to respond and give a solution,
I think they've learned that not hiding from it, embracing it, moving forward and doing the right things will only help the brand.
Yes,
absolutely.
Is the best route.
So you're saying that's a good point. They're just basically trying to confront it head on for this month and let the storyline pass that way.
And it will.
All right. Keep talking about this game a little bit more because we haven't gotten too much into it. Jonathan Stewart. Is he returned to form of the Jonathan Stewart? I don't think he has the speed that he did in the past, to where he has the explosive breakout speed, Joey. But he really is just beating dudes up by himself. How helpful is that, Joey, to have that running game starting to click?
Oh, it is incredibly helpful. It gives us something to rely on. And we saw how effective it is. It made the Saints keep 8 men in the box for a good part of the game, and so much so that we threw the ball 41 times. Think about that. Think about what I just said. The Carolina Panthers threw the ball 41 times. That's a lot for us. I mean, like a lot.
Yeah, too much, I would argue.
I would even say that.
Yeah, I think a lot of that also has to do with just the weakness of the secondary. I mean, yeah, obviously trying to contain Stewart would have something to do with it, but I mean, yeah, obviously the worst ranked secondary in the league. We're gonna try to exploit that. So.
Well, Brandon Browner is a clown.
He's a joke.
He is
okay.
a joke.
All right, so I like to listen to this Saints podcast, and it's called the Happy Hour podcast, and they do it right after the game every week. They do it right after the Saints game,
That's cool.
and they're always a little drunk, I think, and
It is New Orleans.
it is New Orleans, right? It's a good podcast, and this year they have just been bemoaning all of this. And they were talking about the name of this week's podcast was Brandon Browner, the worst corner in Saints history. And just to let you guys know, I don't have it off the top of my head. I wrote it down earlier. I think they said he has 20, he's tied or one shy of the most penalties in a single season by a player ever. He's one short, which is he's at 21 or something. I think the record's 22. In a season, it's 22, and there's still 4 games to go.
That's as good as broke.
And think about this. They said this. Brandon Browner's penalties have accounted for 17 first downs this season.
Jeez.
So 17 of those penalties, he's given the other team a first down. Brandon Browner, good Lord.
That'll do it.
Tried to punch like a kid on the sideline. It is crazy over there. So he's terrible.
He's really terrible. Is. He's completely overrated. I mean, I feel like he fit well back in Seattle system, and that name kind of followed him around now. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but I think it was Pro Football Focus actually has him ranked as like one of the bottom 5 corners in the league, and maybe that has a lot to do with the penalties that you guys were talking about. But
I think
I'm sure.
Bottom 5 in the history of football.
I see. We have our next guest on now. It is Mr. Brian Jones, and Brian is a writer. Gosh, Brian, you write for a ton of people. 24/7 Sports. He covers. He's a national.
He's gone.
Guy.
See you later, Brian. Brian is out. All right, so it doesn't look like he is gone, right? I'm looking at the screen. I don't see him anymore.
Yeah, he was right there, wasn't he?
He was there.
All right. He was.
Let's talk about Joey. So the Panthers are 12-0. They're going to be looking ahead. Now we play division stretch. We're going to be playing Atlanta, right? I mean, who are we playing this week? We're playing the Falcons, right?
Yeah,
we play Matty Ice, and they have been looking.
AKA Meg Ryan.
Meg Ryan, that's right. AKA Meg Ryan. They started off 6-0.
There he is. Brian, welcome to the podcast. It's the C3 podcast. We have I'm Joe Rilano, the freaking Puerto Rican, and we have Anthony Dunn, aka the Professor. We have Jonathan here, who is in the beginning stages of a fan-focused Panthers forum, and then we have the draft expert Mel Mayock over there. It's great to have you on the show, Brian. And for those of you that don't know, I was just saying, Brian, he writes for everybody, 24/7 Sports. He writes for Bleacher Report, and was it Kennesaw State University?
Yeah,
I saw.
It's KSUOwlsFootball.com.
And they're in their first year of football. Is that correct?
Yeah, they just finished their inaugural season. They finished 6-5, and they were one of only 4 teams. They were one of 4 new programs to start this year, and they were the only one to have a winning record. So it was a really good season for them.
Well, fantastic. That's fantastic. Actually, I was sort of introduced, or I was able to get his contact information via a friend and fan of the show, Aaron Freeman. And I guess you are a Falcons fan. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've been a Falcons fan almost all my life.
Well, that's great because we were just getting ready to get onto the topic of the Panthers-Falcons game this week. So, Tony, I'm sorry we interrupted, but if you could go ahead and pick up where you left off there.
I think the Panthers, I would say this is Panthers obviously are heading into their division stretch. We played the Saints, then we play the Falcons, then we play the Bucks. We have one game outside of that with the New York Giants, and it's all division games. The Atlanta Falcons start 6-0, very hot on a 5-game losing streak, I believe. Is that correct? Is it 5?
Yeah, it is 5.
Okay, so 5-game losing streak. So you start out 6-0. The team, Joey, is the Atlanta Falcons started out, they looked like all of a sudden they were competing. Dante Freeman really looking fantastic. Julio Jones amazing. And then they fizzle out. Brian and Joey, actually Joey, first of all, before I ask Brian this, is this the game that you worry most about?
Yeah, I think you do worry about this because you know that the team has weapons. They have weapons. They've sort of been in offensive funk as of late. My biggest problem, and I say problem, I'm glad they're not doing it, but I see they were having such tremendous success with the running game. Freeman went on a tear at the beginning of the year. But as the season's worn on, for whatever reason, they just have gotten away from the running game. Some of that may be because they were behind in games and they had to play catch-up. But by doing this, they see a weakness because Roddy White is not the player that he was at one point. And Julio Jones has not been 100% this season. And they don't really have anybody else to go to. They're sorely missing a tight end. Tammy's come in and done okay in spots, but by no means is he a Tony Gonzalez. So they have some deficiencies, and I don't know if it's coaching or the coordinator or what, but they just don't seem to be as explosive as a team that we're used to seeing there in Atlanta.
Brian, can you tell us how did things turn south? 5 games straight. That's a fall right there from what you felt like was on a team on the uptick.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned this because I actually wrote a story about how the Falcons need to get back to running the football. In the first 6 games of the year, they were averaging 130 yards per game. Now in these last 6 games, they've only been averaging 87 yards per game. And part of that has to do with Devontae Freeman suffering that concussion where he suffered in the Colts game in the first quarter. So he missed nearly all that game and then the Minnesota Vikings game. And then even before the Colts game, he only had about 15 carries against the 49ers. So for some reason, and a lot of people down here in Atlanta kind of blame Kyle Shanahan just because of what he's done with the past few teams. And based on what I see from him in press conferences, he's going to keep doing his things his way and not listen to the other players. So I think
how abrasive is he as in the press conference? I saw this one quote, and you can tell me if it's kind of true.
Yeah.
Where he said, like, I'm just going to throw it to Julio no matter what. And it felt like it was just like weird. Like, that's our game plan. We just go to Julio.
Yeah.
Is that weird, or am I kind of out of context with that?
No, you're not out of context at all. I think some of the stuff he says, it kind of raises your eyebrows. And I understand the player that Julio is, but at the same time, and again, it's all about running the football. They were more effective when Devontae Freeman was getting the carries that he was getting the first half of the season. The game last week against Tampa Bay, the Falcons only attempted 17 run plays compared to 45 pass plays, and they were not that far behind against Tampa Bay. So for whatever reason, Kyle Shanahan didn't want to run the football, and when you have an impact running back like Devontae Freeman, you've got to run the football. So if they have a chance at all on Sunday, they got to run the football. They got to be committed to the run.
Jonathan, I want to ask you when it comes to the Atlanta Falcons, and that one of the storylines for me has been the offensive line over the last couple of years. And with the Panthers, have you been disappointed in relationship? The Saints had a terrible offensive line. We haven't been able to really just dominate them in 2 visits this year. Do you think our offense is that the matchup that you're? How do you think that matchup is going to play out? I guess I'm going to say is our defensive line, Ely in the doghouse, and going against I don't know, an up and down Atlanta Falcons offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to pick a key battle, offensive line versus defense line, I'd actually say it's the Falcons versus the Panthers, just because the Falcons have one of the worst pass rushes in the league right now. So I think that's something we should be looking out for. But yeah, I mean, it's really just been great to see the Panthers' resurgence in the O-line this year. We had a lot of struggles early on last year, and so I mean, I'm not too concerned with the Falcons' pass defense. They're 31st in the league sack percentage this year. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really gonna be key for our guys up front to get pressure on Matt Ryan, because Julio is an explosive weapon. You got Devonta Freeman. We're gonna have to have a rush defense stopping him. The thing with Julio, though, obviously we got Jano out in the corner. Not too worried about Julio. I really think that will be a key for our victory, is the fact that we can shut down their key weapon.
That is going to be the game within the game, is it not?
Yeah.
Jano against Julio.
Yeah, and like Brian was saying, if they start to, because of the Jano-Julio matchup, if they start relying on the run more, our front seven's going to really have to, step it up, because we've shown at times this year that we've been vulnerable against the run. And I mean, Devonta Freeman's just having one heck of a year, so definitely another key matchup we'll be looking for this week.
Maybe I'm a little arrogant at this point, but the least thing I'm worried about in this game is Julio. And that is because I feel like we have a corner that's going to at least limit him. So say Josh Norman has his worst game of the season this year, and Julio gets 80 yards, right? I mean, that would be the worst game he had in 2 years. I feel like their game plan is too oriented towards Julio, to where, like, okay, I mean, what is Julio? He'd have to get like 400 yards to beat us, I feel like. And that, I mean, I feel like it's so one-dimensional. Brian, can you tell us what's your assessment of the Falcons' offensive line? Something that's been an Achilles heel for them for years, and you spent a first-round draft pick last year, not this past season, but the year before, and Jake Matthews, I believe.
Yeah, it's Jake Matthews. The Falcons' offensive line has kind of been up and down. They've been really good when it comes to run blocking, because they really fit into that zone blocking scheme that Kyle Shanahan likes to run. When it comes to pass blocking, they've been okay. I think the center position has kind of been shaky. Andy Levitre, the guard that they got from Tennessee right before the season, has struggled this year. Chris Chester has done well because he has worked with Kyle Shanahan when he was with the Redskins. Ryan Schrader's played exceptionally well, considering he struggled last year. And Jake Matthews has greatly improved, but he's playing injured. So it's just been a mixed bag. I think if they're able to establish a run and able to get that zone blocking scheme going on Sunday, they can have some success. But if you're gonna have Matt Ryan throw 45 times a game and have the offensive line pass block, Carolina with their front seven is going to get at least 3 to 4 sacks, because just the way that the offensive line is set up, they're not strong enough to be a consistent pass blocking team.
Mel, I want to ask you, can you name one linebacker on the Falcons team?
Great question. Nope, not unless you count Vic Beasley.
All
Not
right.
unless you count
So
Vic Beasley.
the point is I know one, and his name is Warlow, and that's it.
Right.
And I don't know anything other than his name, and I should be. I kind of try to watch these teams a little bit, and I don't have the ticket. I don't watch every game. I watch as much as I can and all of this, but the reason I ask you, Mel, is that our linebackers are the strength of our defense.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to have a poor core. I mean, just looking from the outside, are you getting a little overconfident that our team is just playing out better than the Falcons, much like we were against the Saints?
Let me say, most of the year, I have been very cautiously optimistic going into every game. Now, the Saints game, even when we went down 14-0, I felt like we were going to win. I just felt like, hey, it's early. We're resilient. We're going to come back. But let me say, even though my prediction is we will win, the Falcons are not somebody to sleep on. Much like a lot of the teams we've played this year, if you look at their numbers, they have more touchdowns than their opponents. They have more time of possession than their opponents by 4 minutes a game. They have more first downs.
That's because they're always on offense because their defense is giving it up.
But you know what? Here's the difference for the Falcons. They're 14th in offense. They are 5th in yardage.
Wow.
So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? That tells you they can move the ball.
But it's 20-20.
No offense to my Falcon buddy here, but we call him Meg Ryan. Meg Ryan turns the ball over in the red zone.
Yeah.
He's been sacked 23 times. You guys have sacked the opponents 13 times. That's a big issue. And he only has 17 touchdowns, whereas Cam Newton has 25. Historically, you would say Meg Ryan has more passing touchdowns than Cam Newton. So, I mean, he's a little off this year, and I don't know if it's the offensive line or what it is, but I would love to hear your take on that.
A lot of Falcons fans here in Atlanta are saying that it's Kyle Shanahan. And the thing is with that is Julio Jones actually talked about he was frustrated after the Tampa game because the thing is, you know, you mentioned it, Matt Ryan has 4 red zone interceptions this year. That's most in the NFL. And what's funny about that game against Tampa on Sunday is they were in goal-to-go situations 5 times, did not score, and they didn't target Julio at all. So Julio, and I actually wrote a story on this. Julio said he was asked, you know, what are they what's the coach's scheme, what's their game plan? Julio's like, I don't know. He doesn't know what they're doing because they practice, you know, going to Julio in the red zone, doing jump balls, fades, and things like that. When it comes
and then
to
they do something else.
Yeah, exactly. So the fact that Julio's complaining about the play calling, you know, Roddy Weissman complained about it at the beginning of the year, and Matt Ryan has been secretly complaining about the offense. You know, a lot of people are pointing the blame at Kyle Shanahan.
That's interesting, but Matt Ryan is clearly stunk, though. I mean, and maybe I'm being a little too hard, and that's just kind of my brash way of being a fan. But he just hasn't been good this year.
No, you're right, and you know the Falcons fans have said that Matt Ryan struggled, and the thing is, I've watched Matt Ryan every play since 2008. This year he looks timid. He doesn't look comfortable.
Dejected. He looks dejected. I was watching them, Brian, and I felt like the whole team, or at least Matt Ryan, when he threw a couple passes early in the game this past week, they got batted down. It was just a bat down.
Yeah.
And it was just the frustration of nothing's going right.
Right.
He wanted the season to be over, I felt like.
Yeah, he had his weekly radio show today, and he said that, you know, it's hard to stay positive when they're going through this slump, and things have just not been going well for him. And I think his confidence is shot. He's not able to throw the ball.
I think we may have lost Brian temporarily. Jonathan, I want to...
May I just say, he is the best Falcon fan I have ever had on this show.
Jonathan, I want to ask you this: if what would happen if the Panthers lost 5 in a row, and Cam Newton seemed dejected on the field?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of saw a lot of that his first couple of years. And that might have just been more of an immaturity thing. Maybe it's just the winning now that we see the way that he is. And, if we were in that same situation that the Falcons are in now, I would like to say that he's matured over these past 4.5 seasons. And that his I guess demeanor and attitude on the sideline would be a little bit different than what they were those first 2 years,
Right.
just because of how we've seen him develop as a leader. But it's hard to know when you're 12-0.
Great, Joey. What I think I'm trying to get after Joey here is that when I look at Matt Ryan throwing minor temper tantrums on the field a little bit, he's pouting.
Yeah,
Nothing like that after you get off my field.
He's pouting. I've seen him pout. What would they do to Cam Newton? Start out 6-0, lose 5 in a row, have a tough run in there, and pout on the field, Joey. What would they do?
He would be completely eviscerated in the media.
Mm-hmm.
They would rip him up one side and right down the other.
Do you know what Cam would do in response?
What, dance with their mama?
Dab on him.
Dab on him.
Ryan, can you tell us what that's about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And he was on Sunday in the Tampa Bay game. He was upset with Nick Williams, one of their young receivers, because he dropped the third down pass, and he got kind of upset. But no one in the media really mentioned it because Matt Ryan's so plain and like so ordinary when it comes to interviews.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
I mean,
this is so good. It's such a great description. Ordinary is wonderful.
He really is.
It's his personality. It's ordinary.
Absolutely, he's gonna say just the typical things every week. When things are good, he's gonna say it's great, but we need to get better. When things are bad, which it has been the last 6 weeks, he takes a lot of blame, but he says the same thing. I have to play better. We need to get better as a team. We will get better. So that's why people don't really criticize Matt Ryan when it comes to him having a tantrum, because it's something that you really don't see that much.
Right.
What do you think about him? If you were going to hang out with Matt Ryan, do you think you'd be cool or you think you'd be a jerk?
Based on what I've seen from him, I think he's be a really cool guy. He seems to have a low head on his shoulders. He's very intelligent, and it's really frustrating to see him, struggle in these last 6 weeks because it's something that he's really never experienced before. He's never really had a major injury. He's never really had.
You're right. That's a good point.
So it's really just frustrating. And the thing is with that is, a lot of people here in Atlanta were asking if he's injured before the season or during the season just because he was struggling so much, and we haven't seen it before. So, I hope personally.
I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Is the honeymoon for Dan Quinn starting to wear off just a little bit? Because I thought Coach Smith, he got a bad rap because there was a lot of injuries, and I think coaches a lot of times get a lot of bad raps when their star players are injured. They suffer and then they take the fall. They take the rap. Now Dan Quinn comes in. Is the honeymoon starting to wear off just a little bit?
A little bit, because this time last year under Mike Smith, the Falcons were 5-7. Now they're only a game better at 6-6. So, and I think he was able to start off really well. At practice he has the music going, just like you would see with the Seattle Seahawks when they're practicing. He's always working with the guys, and he says the same thing every week in practice. But now things are not going his way, and he keeps saying that we need to get better. We need to limit the turnovers. We got to limit the dumb penalties, but you're just not seeing the results. So I think the honeymoon is wearing off right now, and they got to start winning ball games because if for some reason, and it's more than likely to happen, that they lose these last 4 games, you could see some major change in the front office.
Yeah, I asked some people, some Falcon fans, if what the problem was, and they said weapons were. It was like a combination of things. The fact that the weapons aren't there,
Yeah.
offensive line struggles, and this is a new offense too.
Yeah.
We got to remember that this is a whole new staff, a whole new offense they brought in. It's completely different from what they were doing before. And it is going to take some getting used to. He is going to have to get himself accustomed to it. You hate to see the pouting, but I'm sure there's a certain level of frustration that's going on there. And but I don't think they've had the performance from some of the people they were counting on this year that they needed to have a successful season.
I think that 6-0 start or whatever it was a little of a hot streak.
It was kind of fluky.
It was, and you could tell that. I mean, when you look at the roster, there's a lack of depth and talent on the defensive side of the ball, and that really in the NFL, and you can't just play the game with. It really defense keeps you in games. It gives you an opportunity to win each week, and I guess potent offense has to be so potent to win consistently. It just too much pressure on those guys, I think, and I don't think you can win with that formula. I don't know with Dan Quinn. I think that the honeymoon should not be wearing off at this point. Oh, I wanted to mention this, and I'll ask you, Brian, about this. Is that when we were talking about Mike Smith and that, I was listening to one of y'all's podcasts because I like to listen around, and somebody was talking junk about him wearing sandals in the locker room or something with socks on and trying to rally the troops, and he's wearing like beach sandals, and they were saying this is that Dan Quinn ain't gonna wear no damn beach sandals up in there in the locker room. Was Mike Smith, he seems kind of, I think his time is done.
Yeah, and I really like Mike Smith. I think he did a lot of good at Atlanta. He was the only coach in Falcons history to lead that team to back-to-back winning seasons. In fact, he led that team to 5 consecutive winning seasons.
Sad.
Yeah, it's really bad. But
sorry, I didn't mean to be a jerk about it.
I like Coach Smith too. Yeah, I thought he was a good coach.
But I think especially last year where he just made a few bad coaching decisions, specifically in the Detroit Lions game and the Cleveland Browns game, where it cost them both victories. And had they won those games, they would have been 8-8, and they would have won the division. So I think the time was up for Mike Smith. He did a lot of great work, but they just needed a change. And Dan Quinn's been a really good change for him. But I think you mentioned it. The personnel is just not there yet, especially on defense. And they have played better defensively compared to where they were last year. But the thing is, they signed these guys like Brooks Reed, Justin Durant, linebackers that have a history of injuries. They signed those guys to one-year deals, along with Adrian Claiborne, the defensive end, signed into the one-year deal. So Dan Quinn wanted to see what he really had on defense, and I think next year he'll be able to have more freedom in the draft and in free agency to get the type of players he wants. As for offense, I'm not sure what's going to happen because they hired Kyle Shanahan before they hired Dan Quinn because Dan Quinn wanted Kyle Shanahan to run that offense. So that's going to be...
Why do teams do that?
I don't know.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Well, you said that Dan Quinn wanted him, so that's his hire then, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
They just got to him first. That's it.
Yeah, and I think just because, like, last year when the Seahawks were in the playoffs, they couldn't really officially hire him, so they were still talking to him.
Right.
So they could assemble the staff before they could really hire Dan Quinn. So that's what that was all about.
All right, when I look around the league, Joey, and I look at our team, I just keep coming back to Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly. They're flying around there. If you think about when San Francisco was in their heyday and their defense just a couple of years ago, they've got tell me the guys' names. Those
Bowman, Navarro Bowman, and Patrick Willis.
Yes, flying around out there. And the Falcons, looking at the Falcons teams and some of their struggles, is that they don't got linebackers that can cover jack. They can't cover anything when it comes to the passing game. They're so weak there, I think. And I don't study their tape closely. Joey, talk momentarily about the relationship between Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis, and the success of this team in the linebacker position.
Well, I mean, you have one player who has shown incredible determination and somebody who has incredible fortitude. And then you turn around and then you draft somebody who comes in with an openness of willing to be coached with superhuman talent. Everybody knew Kuechly was going to be good in the NFL, but it just so happened he went to a team that was rich with talent. I said talent, experience at the linebacker position in Thomas Davis. And Kuechly just soaked up all that knowledge that he was able to share with them. And he's a football guy. He eats, sleeps, and breathes football. And with that desire to be the best and the experience shared with him from Thomas Davis, we have this incredible pair of linebackers that are good together. They complement each other very well. It reminds me of Dan Morgan and Will Witherspoon.
Yeah,
it really does.
Brian, how hard is that? I mean, it seems like that's just as much as not having an effective tight end on offense. Is that it really seems that the linebacker position is really killing you guys. Prince Jimbo killed a dog.
Yeah.
He's not longer on the team, sorry. But killing and all of that. What's going on? Is that the main priority? That's the whole point. That was a bad joke.
I think the biggest issue for the Falcons is, you mentioned it, that they don't have an impact player on defense. Their best player is Desmond Trufant, the cornerback, and he had his struggles last Sunday against Mike Evans. But other than that, they don't have a pass rusher, a consistent pass rusher. Their linebackers will give you great effort, but they can't make impact plays, and they really can't cover. Paul Warlow is the middle linebacker, and he has been for the last 3 seasons. And the thing is with him, he wasn't drafted. He was a college free agent that was able to earn his way beyond the team. And he's been okay, but he's not an impact player. That's going to be the biggest thing for the Falcons in the offseason, is finding an impact player on defense, whether it's the draft or free agency.
What's wrong with Vic Beasley? I thought he was the guy. That's what Scott Carrasco used to always say, is he's going to be the best player ever in the history of football.
And he very well might be, but he's just not. He's giving great effort, but he's just not getting to the quarterback. So I think he just has to.
Is he too skinny?
That could be a reason. Based on what I've seen from him, I think he just needs to get bigger. He has the speed, definitely, but I think, and that's one of the biggest issues he had coming out of college, is just the size. And I think that and he's gone up against pretty good offensive tackles this season. So, and he's getting taught a good, valuable lesson that he's got to bulk up, and I think he'll be able to do that this offseason.
I see him as a strong safety. He's always been a strong safety to me.
What? Vic Beasley, that huge giant man?
Yeah, he's always been a strong
enormous.
safety.
No.
Really? Wow.
I
will say the biggest problem with the Falcons this year.
He's like 6'7", dude.
He's not that big, man.
He feels like it.
The biggest problem with the Falcons is the number 13. That's the number of sacks they have this year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's always been an issue since John Abraham left.
Yeah.
They have not.
And he was only okay, right? I mean, he was pretty good.
I think the Panthers had 13 sacks against the Falcons last year.
Yeah.
In 2 games, right?
All right. Well, we gotta get. We're running over time. Let's do our picks. We still got ice up picks. Joey, what do you think? Game. What's your prediction?
My prediction for this game is, the Panthers win. I think it's competitive, but I don't think it's necessarily a very close score. So I'm thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of 31-17, Carolina.
Okay. All right. Jonathan, what's your pick for this week?
Yeah. I just think Cam's really gonna be able to take advantage of their weak pass rush and just have a good day. So I'm thinking about 34-14 Panthers.
All right, Brian, put your pick in.
I had to go with Panthers 31-21. Cam Newton normally plays well against the Falcons, and I think the Falcons' offensive line is going to once again have trouble with the front seven. I think they do run the ball. The Falcons run the ball a little bit better, but it just won't be enough. And I think based on what I've seen from the Falcons the last 6 weeks, Carolina will be able to get a couple turnovers, and that will be the difference.
Joe, I wanted to talk about something and we completely missed it on the show. We'll get to it next week. I wanted to talk about sitting players if we continue to win. Sorry, I just looked at my piece of paper, my notes here. Mel, what's your prediction?
I'm predicting another crazy, wild game, and any division game is going to be very competitive, I think. I think the last 4 games are going to be crazy. But I'm saying 47-38 Panthers.
Wow.
All right.
Jesus. Nobody's defense showed up again.
Say that again. What was the score again?
47-38.
Holy crap.
There you go. Thanks for listening, Professor.
Sorry, I was reading this tweet from somebody that I like a lot. I'm gonna sneak this in before I put my pick in. Brian, we got our friend Lynn on Twitter is asking us to ask you what's basically she wants to know about the general fan team mentality right now. Are you still trying for the playoffs if you're the Falcons, or as a spoiler, or are you giving up?
Or the underlying tone there, is there any way to win you over to the Panthers bandwagon?
No way.
Really?
We don't want you. No way. You tainted. Sorry.
Sorry about that.
I think based on what has happened these last 6 weeks, I think the fans realize that, even if they were to win out, which probably won't happen, they're still behind the Vikings and the Seahawks. So they're playing chase right now, and the fact that they don't really believe in Matt Ryan. They really don't believe in this offense. So I think the fans are pretty much over it right now.
Wow.
It's unfortunate. It really is.
Way to turn on Matt Ryan in a heartbeat.
But I think a lot of people, even before the season, were very critical of Matt Ryan just because towards the end of last season, he was throwing pick sixes, specifically in the Green Bay game and the Pittsburgh Steelers game, where they lost those games by a touchdown. So there's always been criticism of Matt Ryan, but it's been triple that this year.
Wow.
Wow. I love this. First of all, it made me so much happier to hear all of that. It really did. It made me feel good. All right, we got one last segment, guys. You can stick around if you like. If you don't, you can go. This is where we issue our weekly Ice Up picks, where we tell someone in the world, somewhere out there, to ice up, toughen up, to get their mess together. In the spirit of Steve Smith, everybody is fair game, from 9-year-old kids in Wichita, Kansas, to whoever. Mel, did you bring an ice up pick this week?
I did. Are you able to pull up the GIF?
No, you're just going to have to do it.
I'm just going to have to roll with it. All right. So, what does NFL stand for? NFL stands for National Football League, or sometimes it stands for the No Fun League. I got to tell you, it really pissed me off this past Sunday to see when Cam Newton, actually, I can't remember who scored, but somebody scored the touchdown, and he went to go get the football. And one of the fun things that he does, and I'd be interested to hear how our Falcon fan actually perceives it, because I think you love Cam Newton if he's on your team, you hate him if he's not. But he takes the football, he takes it up and he gives it to a little kid or to a Panther fan wearing his jersey or somebody, and he has fun. But then this referee, number 67, I don't know his name, but I know his number on the back of his jersey, number 67.
I'm writing it down. I just wrote it down. It's on the hit list.
He went to the Julius Peppers School of Refereeing after the touchdown.
I like Pep.
You like Pep, but I don't.
Lazy.
He grabbed the football and he kept it away from Cam Newton, who came to him and said, "Hey, give me the ball. I'm going to go share it with a kid who has a terminal illness. I'm going to make their life happy again."
Is that
the
right?
referee, yep, and the referee said, "No, I'm going to throw it to this little guy over on the side. Sorry, Cam, no dice." He throws it over to the football guy on the side, and Cam's like, just like he said to Julius Peppers, he's like, "What? No, I've got to get the football to this dying kid over here." So he runs over to the football guy. And that little guy, and you know what? I'm not one to ever talk about anybody's appearances, but this football guy who got the ball, who was trying to keep it from Cam Newton, had no chance. He was like a 5'3" dude, balding, middle-aged guy with my physique, trying to hold the ball away from Cam Newton. And Cam said, "Dude, give me the ball." He just put his hand on his forehead and grabbed the ball, yanked it out of his hand.
He tried to put it in his bag at one point. I felt like it was
right, it was crazy. So he ran over and he gave it to this guy who was on his deathbed, and the guy miraculously was cured from cancer and was happy that he had the football from Cam Newton.
Look at that.
And everything was right with the world, right? But I got to tell you, this referee, he went to the Julius Peppers School of Refereeing, and this football guy on the side who thought he was going to keep the ball from Cam Newton, you guys just need to ice up. Get rid of the no-fun league. Let Cam have his fun. He's only doing it to help people. Ice up, son. That's
Ice up.
No sense.
Makes no sense. I love it.
It makes no sense.
Hey.
All right.
Little
Jonathan, are you aware of the ice up picks, and do you got one?
Yeah, I do.
Bring it on.
All right. So, my ice up pick this week, I don't know if you've heard this story, you guys, or not, but my ice up pick is Johnny Manziel.
Nice.
Yeah. In the wake of the Browns naming Johnny Manziel their starter this week, Manziel on Twitter liked a tweet from some false John Madden account. The tweet read, report, Johnny Manziel plans to spend a night on the town drinking to celebrate being named starter for the last 4 games of the season.
After telling folks, don't worry about me.
Yep. So, of course, Manziel likes that tweet. He's just once again proving his immaturity. He's supposed to be a franchise quarterback, and he's taking a serious problem very lightly. And it gives a bad face to the Brown franchise for drafting someone of his maturity level and expecting him to just change. So, to Johnny Manziel, I say, ice up and grow up, because you're supposed to be the face of a franchise, no matter how tough that franchise is.
You know what? I feel like I'm going to ice up the Browns for sucking as a franchise. Why would they even
being the Browns?
Out of every team that could risk Johnny Manziel as being their guy, the Browns seem like the least one to do. I don't know. I kind of like Johnny for liking that.
And I gotta say, my favorite team name in the C3 Fantasy Football League, which is in high gear this week, is Johnny Manziel's football drinking buddy.
Oh my God!
Right.
I love that.
He is the face of a franchise. It just happens to be Applebee's.
And you know what? You always have a great time, bro. You always have a great time. Brian, would you like to ice up anybody this week?
Yeah, and mine is actually not sports related; it's music related.
Yes.
This morning the Grammy Award nominations came out, and one of the biggest stories that come out of there is Drake's song "Hotline Bling" didn't get nominated, and a lot of people were wondering why, because it was such a huge hit for him. it was actually it was number 2 on the charts, his highest hit so far in his career. And what they found out is Cash Money Records, I'm not sure who it was, or it was a group of people. They forgot to submit that song to the Grammys.
Whoops.
It just so it was a clerical error.
That's
So,
embarrassing.
But at the end of the day, Drake still got nominated for 5 awards, including Best Album. So he still goes home with some nominations, but still, Hotline Bling should have been nominated because it was such a huge hit. So the Cash Money Records, I gotta say, ice up and get it together.
Oh man,
Right in the spirit of Ice Up Sun. Nice job.
That is perfect.
That's a hard act to follow right there.
Yeah, I know.
But I got a feeling you will. I have a feeling you will.
Joey, did you already give your pick?
No, I'm getting ready to go right now.
Go, because I don't even got mine ready.
All right. The NFL has done something really some questionable things in its long history, but the NBA has decided to try to one-up the NFL. There's a team, the Philadelphia 76ers, that have really been the laughingstock of the NBA this season. They've won a whopping total of 1 game to this point in the it's a long 81-game season.
Oh, jeez.
Why is this team so bad? And really, that's not where the story is here. The team is so bad that the commissioner of the league, Adam Silver, was forced by the owners of the other teams to add some basketball talent in the management position to that team.
Like spare talent?
Yes, this is a guy who said you have to hire because who you have on staff is so bad.
Wow.
Guy. So he made the Sixers go out and hire a longtime basketball coach, GM, and at one time an owner of a team, Jerry Colangelo. They added him to the front office. I think he coached the Olympic team before Krzyzewski took it over, if I remember correctly. So now Jerry Colangelo was in the front office, and he didn't even want to be. But the NBA came to him and said, "Look, these guys are so bad that they need you to come in and sort of turn things around."
And we'll pay you every consonant in that word equals an extra 0 in your paycheck.
And the reason that this had to take place was because the Sixers are such a bad team that they're losing what is a very strong fan base. They're having incredibly low merchandise sales, and it's gotten so bad that when they go on the road to play other teams, those teams have lower attendance, lower concession sales, lower merchandise sales, and it has only gotten worse as the season has worn on. So to fix that, hopefully fix that, Adam Silver made Sam Hinkie, who is the owner of the Sixers, hire Jerry Colangelo. So my point is, I say to the owner, Mr. Hinkie, don't be a Grinch. Spend some money on the team and get some good players and better coaches and give the Philadelphia fans a basketball team that they can be proud of. Ice up, Mr. Hinkie.
Enough hanky-panky.
Sure.
Enough of the hanky-panky.
Let's get
My
it
ice up pick of the week is, I wanted to go, I don't know what I want to do. I haven't decided between, I don't want to ice up anybody that screws over UNC Chapel Hill. So UNC Chapel Hill they got screwed. Look, UNC got screwed in that offside call.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to ice up those people for screwing them, so I can't ice them up. I had another one that I didn't want to ice. I think this is going to be strange. I'm going to ice up Kobe Bryant. And
I like that.
The obvious. There you go.
I like that.
You know,
needs to be done. It needs to be done.
And it's not to play. It's not to play. I don't care about the great football player that is exiting the game.
Who drafted him?
Charlotte did. And he didn't.
That's right.
But the reason I'm icing up Kobe Bryant is that this very cool, calm, collected farewell tour where he's exiting the game graciously. And everybody is just like, oh, like, way to go. You know what? Kobe's a fantastic basketball player. He's been great, but he's kind of sucked as a teammate in some ways.
Yeah.
He acts like he's trying to mentor guys, and he doesn't. He's terrible in that. I don't know how he is as an actual locker room guy. He's been around forever. But here's the thing, is that you're like, oh, Kobe is like, he wants to get up there and smile. There was some serious controversy about what happens with that chick and the millions of dollars that he spent to make his wife happy later on. And all of that is forgotten. Like, so I think that Kobe Bryant is a great basketball player, but I feel like it's a little too going easy on him about, like, we should just be, like, relishing the moment of watching a great player exit when there is a lot of crap that goes around this dude. He hasn't been necessarily a great teammate. And this controversy, so I'm going to say this. Kobe Bryant, ice up.
Ice up, Kobe.
That's it. All right, let's get out of here, guys. We got a lot to talk about. Brian, tell everybody where they can follow your work and how they can reach you.
All right, you can follow me on 247 Sports. It's 247sports.com. I'm a national NFL writer there. I also write for Bleacher Report. It's bleacherreport.com. I'm the Georgia feature columnist there. And you can follow me on Twitter. It's at Brian_L_Jones.
That's some legit work right there, man. That's awesome.
Yes.
Oh, thanks.
Follow Brian at Brian_L_Jones.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely.
Yes, that was straight from memory.
Hey, who wanted this guy on the show? Was that you, Joe? Joe Riolano?
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, ice up, Joey.
It was
He is a Falcons fan, by the way.
All right. Jonathan.
Aaron Freeman.
Jonathan, jump in there and tell everybody how they can find your work.
Yeah, guys, just follow me on Panther Forum. That's capital P in Panther, capital F in the Forum. I'd love to see some of you Panther fans just getting on my page and getting involved in the discussion.
Well, thank you for joining the show.
Yeah,
Mel Mayock coming from the arid Arizona, the Nomad. What's up? What are you working on? What's going down?
Well, this week I'm out here in Arizona, but tomorrow I've got a new mock draft through drafttech.com coming out. Check out who I've got as taken in the first round and the second round, full write-ups. Check it out. Also, we're always talking Panthers, man. Are we going to go undefeated? Are we going to lay down? Are we going to lay down at the end? Are we going to take our starters out? Lots of questions coming into play. What's the most important? A lot of articles coming out at CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Check us out, man.
Gosh, he said the U word, Joe.
Yeah, he did.
All right, Joey, tell them where they can find you.
Somebody had to.
I am on Twitter at Joe Romano, aka the freaking Puerto Rican. Tomorrow night, join us here again, same bat time. We will be doing the Southbound and Down podcast, the premier NFC South podcast. Catch it if you're a fan of any NFC South team. You'll absolutely be thrilled you did.
This is the C3 Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. I am the professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn. Make sure you check us out Tuesday nights. You can follow us on Twitter at cat_chronicles, like our Facebook page, Carolina Cat Chronicles. But be sure, folks, to go to Carolina Cat Chronicles and buy some shit. Specifically, the damn Cam Wow, baby.
That's
and
right.
the C3P T-shirt 2015 Panthers NFC champions.
Show it.
Not once, not twice, but 3 times, folks. That's right. It's the professor, folks. let's jump back at it. Joey, we're so far over, it might as well be next week and we could be 13-0. We'll see you next Tuesday here, 10 o'clock. Thanks for joining the show, everybody.
Peace out.
Guys.
Bye.
Right.